So I'm doing this video today, and I'm going to do a video every day, probably just be short ones, just to kind of document what's going on. So, was not feeling well all week, kind of tired, physically drained. Yesterday, which was Sunday, just had a lot of stomach issues going on, and that seems to have cleared up. But I get this really bad headache, and it feels like my sinuses, my neck is achy. My whole body's really kind of achy. So this morning I went to my primary care and got COVID tested, and I COVID tested positive. Now, I've had both vaccines, Pfizer, back in, I think, February and March of this year. Never got the booster shot. Was planning on it, but never got around to it. And so, because I'm high risk, people who don't know me, I have diabetes, high blood pressure. As you can tell, I'm having a hard time to breathe, and so I got a call. My doctor asked me, hey, how would you like to have the antibody infusion? Because you're at high risk, we can do that for people who are high risk. And I said, if it's going to help me, let's do it. I haven't really looked into it, but I got 3 young kids still at home. Well, I say young, one's 17, 12, and 10, still as young. And I work in a high-risk job. I'm a scene investigator, responding investigator for the coroner's office. So, a lot of times we're going to these houses and we don't have, I say a lot of times we don't have proper PPE. We have gloves, and we have these N95 masks that, to be honest with you, they're not that great. Okay, N95s. But that's it. That's all we have. Now, I've been asking since February of this year, 2021, to get respirators, the ones with the canisters that you can remove and throw away. And they said, oh yeah, we'll get you fitted for them. I've asked several times, supervisor, training officer, the risk management officer in our office, the coroner herself, and they just say, yeah, we're working on it. Well, I think this is a necessary step for us. I mean, we're going into these houses, we're walking around these people's nasty houses, their bedrooms and whatnot. We have these Tyvek suits that are really hot to wear, especially in the summertime in South Carolina. If you don't know, up until recently, it's been in the hundreds. It's like being put in a sweat box. So, I only used those when I was going to like really nasty houses, ones that had bed bugs or they had roaches everywhere, stuff like that. Because I'll be honest with you, for COVID, I don't know how well it's going to work for me. I got nothing really to cover my eyes except for my regular glasses, or my face except for that mask. So, come to find out, now I don't know how this works in most departments or most agencies, but we've had numerous people in our office test positive for COVID. The latest one was earlier this week, so around the same time I started feeling bad. And she didn't work all weekend. I worked all weekend, but I wasn't feeling that bad until yesterday. And then it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And they refused to tell any of the employees unless they were close contact. Now, they have us wearing masks in the hallways, which is fine. every time we leave our office, we got to put our mask on. But every time we're in our office, we don't have to wear a mask. I mean, wearing a mask for 12 hours a day would kind of suck anyway. But I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, these people are getting sick. They're in their office, door open to the hallway. Even if it's not open to the hallway, you figure it's recirculating the air in the entire building. And who's to say I wasn't a close contact to this person? Maybe this person didn't remember everybody she had been in close contact to. But just in the last month or so, I've noticed a lot of COVID deaths coming in to the coroner's office. A lot. I mean, we went a couple months where we didn't have any. And then all of a sudden we're getting, 3 and 4 per person per shift. That's a lot of people. Some younger, most of them older. Most of them in their 80s, 90s. Some in their 60s. I had one the other day, was the same age as me, 47. And I just don't see where, I could see if it's a suspicious death investigation where we go in and photograph the scene. But if it's not, they take all the photos of the body and stuff at autopsy. So we're taking scene pictures, body position, so on and so on, lifting up their eyes, making sure the sclera of the eyes, the white part of the eyes is clear, make sure the pupils aren't blown so it doesn't look like a stroke or anything like that. But we don't know if these people have COVID, and I guarantee a lot of the places that we're going, these people have never been vaccinated. One of the guys this week that wasn't feeling good and went and got some antibiotics from his doctor, supposedly, didn't show up to work on Friday. Now, he was in close contact with me, with the other girl that tested positive, and I'm wondering now that this guy tested positive earlier in the week and they never told anybody. There has to be some sort, I understand this patient privacy laws, but there's got to be something that says, hey, you're in a building, a small building, it's not that big. We all have our own separate offices. None of the full-timers share an office, but we all have offices. And I just feel that I think it should be a necessity if somebody tests positive or if that person doesn't start feeling good, no matter what it is, if they go test positive at the first sign of, sorry, I'm a little gassy, test positive, or go see if they, go test and see if they test positive at the first sign of not feeling well. That's what I did, and I tested positive. Except for this cough I had for maybe a couple days before, and it was just, I figured it was the air in the building, because it's an old warehouse that they converted into offices. And our risk management person actually said that building is flooded, and there's probably so much mold in the floor and in the walls. And now this is the risk management person saying this, and nothing's ever been done about it to test the quality of the air in that building. Now, I would figure that if he knew this, then supervisors and people like that would, the upper echelon in the department. I mean, it's a county building. Why not have it tested? Why not have the air tested? So that's where we're at. So today, the second day of really, really feeling bad, I get this massive, massive headache, sinus drainage, cough when I overexert myself too much. I cough, and I just think that we really need to change the way we're doing things. Honestly, there's no reason why we can't not work from home. We can respond to scenes from home, and a lot of the stuff that we get is reports over the phone, but then we have scene responses like shootings and homicide, suicide, stuff like that. Those I can understand too. But a lot of these hospice deaths, we don't go to them. If they're COVID positive and they're in the hospital and they die, we don't go to them. I think if it's a COVID positive at a home, and the family says he was COVID positive. Matter of fact, I went to one about 2 or 3 weeks ago. When the guy called in, he advised our dispatch center that everybody in the house was COVID positive. There's 5 people living in this 3-bedroom apartment. Every single one of them is COVID positive. I didn't even go in the apartment. Nope. I let the body removal people go in and take them out. I refuse to go into that house or that apartment. And I think that should be pretty much what we do. Unfortunately, we can, can we really leave it up to the body removal people to say whether it's a suspicious death or a natural death? Some of the people have been working there long enough to know the difference. We've pointed stuff out to them. But it's gotten to the point now where, we're going to be like law enforcement and get to a point where we don't want to be going into houses unless law enforcement or somebody responds or EMS responds and says it's suspicious death. If it's not a suspicious death and this person has coronary artery disease and CHF and diabetes and previous history of PEs, pulmonary embolisms, or history of strokes, and this person's like 90 years old, and they're not on hospice, then I don't think we need to go. The problem with that is recently there was an issue in our county where one of the deputy coroners didn't do what he was supposed to do, and it ended up being a homicide, not a natural death. So I kind of see both sides of the story. We're medically trained to a point. Some of us have investigative backgrounds. I was a criminal investigator with the sheriff's department for many years. I was a paramedic with the county for a number of years. So I can usually tell when I walk into a scene whether it's natural or not. And those type of scenes I don't mind going to, but I'd like to have the proper PPE. It's about 4 minutes before my appointment's here at 3 o'clock. It's 2:56 p.m. on, I don't even know what today is. What's today? Today is Monday, September 27th. Monday, September 27th at 2:56. So yesterday on the 26th is when I was really bad. And today I tested positive. So I'm on my way in to go get my antibody infusion. And I really worry. I think what worries me more than anything is the fact that I'm not prepared for this. When I say not prepared, I've talked to my wife about it, but funerals, cremations, funeral homes, anything. If I go on an event, I already told my wife, if I go on an event, I'm done. There's really no coming back from an event and spending 3-4 months in the hospital. I just don't see it. I've heard stories of people coming up, but they don't live long, or they have the worst life. They can't ever really go back to work because they're so immunocompromised. So what do I do? So anyway, I'm going to put this up on my YouTube videos. It's too long to go on my TikTok unless I break it up into a bunch of different parts. But I just want people to know out there that there are other people out there besides nurses, school teachers, that are on the front lines. Law enforcement, paramedics definitely, law enforcement, and people like me, deputy coroners, firefighters, and we're all at risk, high risk, because we deal with a lot of people, and we deal with the unknown. We deal with people who are deceased. We deal with people who are in hospitals or going to the hospitals. We go to traffic accidents, all kinds of stuff, and we really don't have any idea what we're dealing with until after the fact. I'm going to sign off for now. Thanks for listening, guys. Hey, I appreciate any comments, positive, negative. Everybody has a choice to express themselves, and I will never walk on that. Thanks.